Well, thank you guys so much. You guys have been crushing it. Marysa, for anybody who maybe doesn't know your guys' story, and it can be together, it can be separate, whatever you want, like what was your guys' like, how'd you get into FFL? How long have you been here? What was the backstory?
Yeah, so just kind of quick backstory. I got started here at FFL back in, I believe, August of 2019. Rami and I have known each other for over
14 years now.
14 years. We actually dated way back in the day, fun story. As I kind of got started and jumped into things, we started building a business, my sister and I in 2020. So that's when things got really exciting. Rami and I started dating in March of 2021. And I was telling him about like what I do for work. And he's almost like, why are you getting home at like 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, 11, 12, depending on where I was driving to. And I was like, I'm with my clients. And he's kind of like, what? So over time, essentially, I really kind of exposed him to the opportunity. Being in the healthcare field, I never really wanted to push hard on him, like, hey, stop going for your doctorate and come over here and work with us at Family First Life. However, through trial and error and essentially through coming in part-time on a really part-time basis, I think, I don't want to speak for you, but I think you proved to yourself like, wow, I'm making way more money in way less time, but I'm just working through those hours. And then really you just decided, hey, I'm going to jump in full time because I want to build this business and, I'm still helping people. So that's kind of how we got here.
Yeah, so basically, exactly. So, guys, I was basically full time in the medical field, like Marisa said. Now, as we had the past, so I knew Marisa, I was always seeing her social media posts, just like how Marisa always says, you guys always want to continue to post and get that content because what really attracted me to the business was back when we can actually write how much we made in the post. I was seeing all these, big numbers. When I'm looking at these numbers, I'm thinking to myself, I'm working 60, 70 hours in the hospital, busting my tailbone. I'm doing what I can to kind of get ends and provide for my family. And I was realizing, you know what, if I could have a freedom of schedule and make even more money with no potential of income, no cap, why not try it out? So I came in the business part-time, guys, and I still worked in the hospital. And we'll get into it to kind of what we had to do to hit Hall of Fame. And basically, my first full year in the business, I hit Hall of Fame. My second year in the business, I hit Hall of Fame again. So, guys, it's testament that anyone can do this. I'm not special. I mean this. I'm just very blunt. I'm just very direct. Sure, I was in the medical field, but if you can open a book and memorize it, you'll be okay. So that's all I did, guys. Basically, I took my skills from me caring about people, I translated it to FFL, and here we are today.
Yeah, that's huge. And Marisa, you guys are both Hall of Fame producers, two-time Hall of Fame producers, right?
I should be a two-time Hall of Fame producer, but I dropped the ball last year, so I'm a one-time Hall of Fame producer.
Barely.
One time. Okay, but that's still a lot. If you think about that, guys, that's like two times for Rami at least. So that's eight. And then 400 for you at least a minimum 1 year. That's already like 1.4, whatever the heck the math is on that, $1 million just personally issue paid between you guys. Like
Yeah.
that's insane. And you guys are building a big business. So Marysa, real quick, just to speak to the opportunity first, for anybody who might have come like maybe who, and I know we have a ton of people on here who didn't come from an insurance background, but there are some who did. So you were at another company before this.
Yeah.
What was the draw to FFL and like truly thinking like people are like, hey, obviously you're at FFL, you're going to say it's the best opportunity, but you came from somewhere where you came over here. What was it like night and day or what was it like that?
Yeah, so I actually got started at a captive organization. So I'm almost like, if you took 2 years back, it's almost like I look like I'm like the insurance hopper, if you will, right? Like I tried all the companies. And by the way, guys, like I'm not saying go try all the companies. If you're here, I truly believe you're in the best opportunity and vehicle. I've been here for now, 4 years planted and not going anywhere. However, in my first opportunity, I was with a captive organization, meaning I only had access to one company's products. So not only does that put a limit on me, but it also puts a limit on my clients. So I'm sitting there telling folks who maybe had a heart attack 2 years ago, or maybe have active cancer, that they don't qualify for life insurance because that's simply what I was taught. We also didn't have leads. So I always say now, like a lead's a lead's a lead. The reason I say that is when you go from slinging like a no cost benefit to like, hey, Marysa, this is why you need insurance. It's like you really respect the opportunity that much more of actually being able to have unlimited access to something such as Lead Center. Now, when I kind of came out of that captive organization, going into the IMO world, if you will, there were still a lot of lids on what I could and couldn't do. I didn't really feel like I was actually an independent insurance agent as so proclaim. But with that being said, a lot of things, I hear when I'm, just recruiting and talking to people at different companies is like the culture, the culture, the culture. And like, don't get me wrong, I was that person. I was like, the culture here is awesome. It's like, guys, if the culture is not paying your bills, it doesn't matter, right? And I say that with like all due respect because two producer there, guys. And I remember sitting at annual convention with my prior company, mind you, that I had to pay for to be there, the number two producer in the whole company. And I was literally worried about, like, no joke, Maurice, I was like, how am I going to check out of this hotel? Like, am I going to be able to cover the bill? Like, I was nervous, right? And that's not a settling feeling, thinking about, wow, there's thousands of other people here who were not the number two producer. So their bank accounts probably look worse than mine. And I guess over time, seeing how that wasn't playing out for me and almost how it was just like, it is what it is. I had a couple of people reach out to me on social media, of which at the time I was like, I love the culture. I'm happy where I am. Leave me alone. Right. Now, this one particular individual reached out to me on a day that I was having a bad day at my prior IMO. And they said, like, so how are things going over there at, ABC company? And I was like, they're going great. And then I was like, actually, like, they're really not going great. Can we hop on a call? And I hopped on a call with him, for like maybe like 5 minutes. And he's like, hey, I live in Massachusetts. At the time, corporate was in Connecticut. He's like, come down, meet with me and Sean and like get in front of us and, essentially like see what this like looks like, see if it makes sense. So I went down there, and Marysa, one thing I really want to like hone in on, because I don't think that this is like put out there enough, is I signed what I thought was an ownership contract. Okay. Like I truly thought, I was like, I have ownership in this company, Sean. You don't know what I got to lose. Right. And he's like, okay, like, has anybody looked that over, like an attorney? Like, have you went? And I was like, no. And he was like, okay, well, here's what I can tell you what it is and what it's not. And essentially, Sean wasn't trying to belittle me or that opportunity. He was just simply trying to tell me, like, hey, like, do you realize that this is what it is? And I was like, no. When I went home and read what I actually signed, because sometimes we just sign things and send it up, I was like, okay, I made a mistake. And I was like, I'm all on board, and essentially left the corporate office with 300 age leads. I didn't know how old they were, but I knew I was going to rip through them, and it was going to be a lot of fun with two carriers, of which one I had paper app, the other one was AIG. So it's like, guys, you can make it happen. So it's like day and night. And really what I mean by that is sometimes people will get on calls and they'll be like, oh, well, like, not to be too blunt or not. It's like, okay, first of all, I don't think there is too blunt in sales. I just don't. But also it's like, there's a difference when a group gets together and genuinely shares what's going on within the organization. That's a strong culture. That doesn't happen, at least from my experience, in any other company. So that's the number one reason why I believe we're in the best vehicle we could possibly be in. So I know that was a lengthy answer, but just I feel like a necessary one.
Yeah, that's huge. And I love that, like, I forget because you were here before we probably had half the carriers that we have now. I can't even imagine the lead types versus what we have now. Like, do you think that it just if you had what you have today, which obviously you're still producing at such a high level, like, do you think there's any reason that somebody can't come in here and do 400 grand a year?
Oh gosh, no. I'm like, guys, like, I wasn't even that good. Like, and again, I had two companies, and just to be transparent, they were CFG and AIG. That's because my contracts are being held. Like, it's like, if you can make it happen, CFG, AIG writing 30 grand a month, like on paper apps, like, guys, you can make it happen. Like, no doubt. Like, FFL gets better literally every single day. And that's why I think it just keeps me so excited about it.
Yeah, that's huge. All right. So you guys produce at a really high level. Okay. So I know, Rami, you do like some ridiculous number, like 90 grand a month or something insane. What does like the actual ins and outs? Like, we want to know nitty gritty, like, what leads are they? How much do you spend on leads? What have you changed from like being a brand new, like, part-time producer to really go from, hey, I was doing 5 grand to doing 90 grand. Like, what does that actually look like?
So guys, it takes work, guys, and I mean that. Now, anyone can just go out there and buy a batch of leads. Anybody can go out there and say, they're actually in the field or hitting those phones. But first and foremost, you have to put in the work. You have to really adjust your mind into understanding that, all right, you want to hit Hall of Fame. You have to grind, have the schedule as a Hall of Fame agent. Now, so I understood that time was my biggest favorite, was in my favor, right? I have the time. We like everyone on this call, we all have the same exact amount of hours in the day. I just knew how to kind of, break down mine. So what I did was, guys, first and foremost was kind of lead type I'm working. I'm face to face. So I do a lot of final expense and mortgage protection. So what I do, guys, is I probably spend right now on a weekly basis between two or $3,000 a week, but I am bringing in between 40 families, 50 families easily, but I usually average between 60. Now, I'm not trying to just say that to say it, but in all seriousness, all I do, guys, is I hit the phones, I call my appointments, I book them, and I show up. Now, I don't answer my phone when people call me when I'm driving to an appointment. I don't let someone cancel on me and just say, hey, I'm not going to be there. I still show up. So it's the nitty and gritty, guys. My phone is on do not disturb mode the whole time I'm driving in the field. And I know that before I'm even in the field, I have to book my appointments. So it all starts, guys, on the phones. Marisha told me day one when I first came to business, she was like, all right, here's a bunch of leads. Here's the phone. Just dial. I did not know what kind of lead type they were, guys. I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew I had a script in front of me and I was told to call these leads. That's what I did. So literally what I did is I picked the phone up, I started dialing the mortgage leads, and I would just go through my script, making them understand that it's my job to get that information to them as I'm the underwriter assigned to their file. Sorry, guys, 1 second.
I got
Sorry,
it.
real quick.
I got it.
You're
I
good.
apologize. I'm like, he put a kitchen timer on prior to the call, so sorry about that, guys.
No, you're good.
I do. That was my fault. So basically, as I was back to dialing, I understood that had to be. Marissa told me literally, here's a stack of leads, here's a script, get at it and get dialing. Now, guys, when I say I'm dialing, I don't just say like I'm picking up the phone. I am triple dialing a lead. So what I do is I let it ring 3 times and then I hang up. So ring, 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 hang up. I call back again. Second time, repeat the same sequence. Third time. Guys, I do that probably about 15 times to one lead. No joke. The average consumer is going to answer the phone between the ninth and 12th ring. So if you're sitting there dialing a stack of leads, you go through it once, you go through it twice, you call Marissa complaining, saying, hey, I'm not really making money on the leads, it ain't working. No, guys, it's not the leads, it's you. And I really mean that. What you guys want to do is understand that, all right, if I have a stack of 50 in front of me, another stack of 50, I'm going to go back and forth 4 different times and triple dialing each time. 3 times 4 is 12. So that means in that little, 1 to 2 hour period, I've hit each lead 12 different times, that point of contact. So I understood that more contact equals more appointments. Higher appointment count equaled more issued paid volume, right? More premium. So in the very beginning, guys, I had to grind, move fast and break things. Just like Sean Mike says, you really want to get down and get grinding. So in top of leads, I understood that I'm very direct in the home, guys, and I really mean this. Like I'm very transparent. If you get to know me, you'll know that I'm just a straight shooter. I don't like to bullshit. I don't like to BS around. I don't like to really mess around too much. I'm just like to say how it is, and I speak my mind. So I'm in the home. I treat the family like they're my family. I mean that because at the end of the day, if someone filled out that form and they need the help, think of that as your parent, as your mom, as your brother, your sister, whatever the case may be. So when you're in there, I literally have to remind myself that, all right, this is a person who needs help. I'm not here to sell something. I'm here to assess the need, go through the situation and provide a solution to the problem. So I understood that concept, guys. And I understood that when I'm going into a mortgage protection appointment, that I have to help protect the family. It's not about if they get a partial payoff, a full payoff, equity protection. I can go through every single model of the mortgage. It doesn't matter. What truly matters is making sure that the family has a peace of mind knowing they're going to be okay. So that's all I did, guys. So again, I know it may sound pretty cliche, but I would pick up the phone. I'll dial my leads that I purchased, spending between maybe $4,000, depending on the kind of drop it is, doing mortgage mail and final expense, going face to face to the home, even when they're calling me, telling me, hey, don't show up. I'm on a doctor's appointment. I got my kids here. I have COVID. Whatever the case was, I still showed up. I didn't care. So I went to the home, guys, and I helped that family. I continued to do that throughout the whole year, and I ended up hitting Hall of Fame within 10 months my first year in the business. And this year, thankfully, within 8 months, I was able to hit Hall of Fame. And now I'm not only striving to Hall of Fame, I want to have my agency to Hall of Fame as well. I want others to, really reap the same benefit I am. But what took me to get there again is sitting long days in the office, being in my car for long hours, or if you guys are doing telesales, sitting on the phone for hours and hours on end, and understanding that I had to resolve my leads. So lead resolution was another big factor as well in me issuing at a high volume. And I knew that being in the field, I had to door knock as well. So I know a little elongated answer, hoping to go down a rabbit hole, but that's like what I do basically to hit Hall of Fame.
No, that's huge. And Rami, are you still face to face or did you switch to telesales now?
No, I did not. So I'm still face to face. I like meeting people face to face. I like that interaction. So I'm going to continue to be in the home for the time being. I am going to start to dabble in teleskill, the scalability model wise, but me personally, I enjoy that face to face interaction.
Yeah, and that's huge because a lot of times people are really like attracted by telesales. Do you think that in the home, do you feel like that's an easier interaction? Have you ever tried on the phone at all?
Yeah, I have tried on the phone. And the home is easier, especially for me and my personality. Like I'll be a very like I'm a hard pitch on the phone. So if someone tells me they don't need it and they have a wife and the wife's next to them, I will tell the person on the phone and say, your wife is right next to you, and you're trying to tell me like you died today, Bob. Mary's gonna be okay. Mary just told me 5 minutes ago she's not going to be okay. So how's that make sense to you? You just hang up on me. So I said, hey, you know what? I'm gonna continue to stay in the field and get to the houses, and yeah, it works out better for me. But guys, as a new agent, I'm not gonna tell anyone what to do, but my recommendation, I would speak out, advise to definitely go in the field your first 100 homes, get the feel of how it is to actually, meet the client, going through your inventory, understanding word tracks, just understanding the simple concept of the sale. Because when you start on the phone, you get a longer learning curve depending who you are. For most of us, right? I still have a long learning curve in that aspect, but in the home, to be frank, I didn't have that. I kind of expedited that because I was able to hit my first 100 homes in such a fast manner. Like, guys, you learn it. You're going to crack the code. Once you crack the code, then try to do telesales, then try to do some Zooms. But in the meantime, if you're not issuing between 30 or 40 families a month, there's no reason to kind of be on the phone if you're not getting that result. And if you're in the business, full time, doing income producing activities and truly trying to, succeed here, that's my true opinion.
Yeah, that's huge. I love that. Marysa, anything that you have to add on that, like schedule leads? I know you switched to telesales, right?
Yes, I did.
How was that transition for you? Because you were in the home for a long time.
Yeah, so I mean, being in the industry since like 2016, I mean, it was definitely a hard, switch for me because I'm so used to like my hands and like making eye contact and things of that sort. That it was a little bit more of a learning curve for me. But at the same time, it's like I always say, like hustle beats talent when talent doesn't hustle. And it's like flat like that. Like I needed to like live by like what I was preaching, and it's like I needed to realize I just need to pick the phone up and hustle. It was a different type of hustle. Like I remember like Marysa, like the first week, right? Like Rami was leaving the house like to go into the field and I'm going to the office and I'm like, bye. Like I'm going down the street. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're going in the field, like, it's cold out, whatever. And like essentially what I realized that exact day, like I can still have the flashback of like saying bye to him in the hallway because I was like, I didn't realize like the joke was on me that day. Like I didn't know exactly what I was doing. But it's like at the end of the day, you have to think about like whenever your day starts, right? So if your day starts at 8 in the morning in terms of in this business, it needs to start at 8 in the morning. If your day is going to end at 6:30 or whatever it's going to end at, it ends at 6:30. If you're going to take an hour lunch break, take an hour lunch break. I really had to bring myself back to the basics, so to say, of that actual true schedule to be able to see like, hey, dude, just because you've been doing this for X amount of time, it doesn't make you like, oh, you just get like honored in, right? It's like I had to work hard to be like, okay, this is how this transitions from in the home to telesales, right? So really being able to pin that schedule down and also remember, like, again, there's X amount of hours in the day. I need to be working and doing income producing activities during that time. Because if you are going from in the home to telesales or you're just doing telesales, you might find yourself sometimes doing like administrative work at like 9:30 in the morning. And that is like the worst time that you could possibly ever do administrative work, especially if you're doing telesales. You need to get into a flow of just being on the phone is normal, hearing people's voicemails, it's normal, calling people 15 times in a day is normal. When people call me back, Marysa, like, hey, Marysa, you just called me 15 times. I'm like, I know, Marysa, I'm getting back to you. Filled that form out, but it doesn't matter what kind of lead it is. My whole point is I will call you until I get contact. And like being able to see that, like, guys, this is a contact sport, right? Like it's a contact business, whatever you want to call it, but you need to make contact. If you're only going to sit there behind ringing and you're going to text, that's cool for an additional appointments, but it's not going to book your schedule, right? Like it's not going to book your schedule. So only you picking up the phone and doing the activity. I don't care if you have 18 dialers, you still need to do it. Like you still need to make the activity happen. So that was the biggest difference I saw. But at the end of the day, it goes back to the learning curve is going to move itself, so to say, as long as you're moving with it. So for those of you out there that are doing telesales, like, hey, coming from somebody who's been in the business since 2016, I didn't have my hottest month doing telesales, but being able to work that learning curve has been amazing. And it's also proven to me, like, hey, dude, you can do this still, right? Like I thought I forgot how to sell life insurance for like a week, right? It was like I was just warming up, right? So being able to realize like, hey, I'm not defeated as long as I'm getting the reps in and I know I'm making use of my time. Beat yourself up more. If you're going to beat yourself up more about like, hey, I said I was going to do A, B, C, and I didn't do A, B, or C, right? Like stop telling yourself you're going to do things you're not going to do. So I think in the telesales round, that was the biggest thing, honestly, that stuck out to me. It's like, you can tell yourself you're going to upload all these things into Ringy, you're going to do this, that, like just do it. Like just get it done because it's the only way that you're going to see an improvement within yourself and that you're going to feel better about yourself. You're going to be like, I can do this. Because guess what? Everybody on this call, might be, you probably can do it. Is everybody willing? No, that there's a difference, right? So you have to be willing to step up and actually step into those shoes. Am I dialing or am I taking all day to dial? That's literally like my favorite one. Like, am I dialing all day or am I taking all day to dial? And with telesales, it's going to be extremely important. Even if you're in home, it's like, am I driving around all day calling my friend and complaining about how I got no-showed, or am I actually door knocking people and trying to get myself exposed to more opportunity? So that's my 2 cents there.
Yeah, that's huge. And I think I always say too, Marysa, and I love that you brought that up, is this business is 85% the phones and 15% mindset, right? And the closes happen. So obviously there are days as a new agent, even right now, there's days you don't close, or there's days Rami probably is like, dude, I had 10 appointments today and I only closed one, right? Like that happens. So, and a lot of times, especially as a new agent, like I was just talking about this because we have a new agent on our team who was dialing for like several days and was persevering till he got his first sale. But a lot of times we have this instant gratification that like, if I don't close this or if I have a bad day, then like I'm out of here. So what do you guys do? Or like, what's your philosophy when you guys have those days where you're like, this sucks, I want to quit? Like, how do you keep your mindset? Like, what do you tell yourself in like in a healthy space?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important to remember, like, you know, we can have a bad day, no matter what we're doing, like, no matter what career it is. Like, and my biggest thing I go back to, Marysa, is what's plan B? Now, some of you guys might be on this call and be like, well, my plan B is blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, well, I don't have plan B. Like I don't want plan B, to be quite frank. So I think going back to essentially like realizing like the opportunity you have, where were you at? Where were you before you had this opportunity? Where are you at now? And what are you not willing to give up to get there? Right? Like for me, it's like, I don't know what I'm not willing to give up, like at this point. Like, like maybe like my health, because then I wouldn't be here. But it's like, what are you not willing to give up? What is it going to take you to stay focused and to stay in the lane that you need to stay in? Another thing I think that's huge, and I didn't realize this till I was like a couple years in, and people used to always say it like, you are who you surround yourself with. You're the top, you're the top 5 people you spend time with is who you're basically going to be. It's like I had to realize I was spending time with the wrong people, whether that was friends, whether that was family, whether that was agents that were just really, really negative, and being able to pull yourself out of those situations and being like, for example, like, Marysa, I'm going to call you before I'm going to call, somebody and complain. It's like, why spread negativity to anybody, right? Even someone who's not doing that hot. So I think for me, it's about being like in a constant state of gratitude. Like if we're not thankful for this opportunity, like I can promise you guys, it's probably not going to be that thankful back. Like to be honest, as it shouldn't. So it's like, we're going to have our good days and we're going to have our bad days, but don't over celebrate, but don't under celebrate either. Celebrate appropriately, right? And move on. So I think that being able to take one day at a time and move on, that's been really helpful for me.
Wow, that's huge. In a constant state of gratitude. That's pretty gangster. All right. What do you guys, because otherwise I'll just keep asking questions, but I know there's obviously things. I know you guys are selling, building a big organization. I mean, if it's recruiting, but I kind of want, like, if you guys have something that you're like, hey, we think that like this is the most important thing we need to share, something that you guys really want to get across. Do you guys have anything?
So I have one thing and then we'll pop right over to Ron. He's like, well, All right. So for me, I remember coming into this business and truly, like really truly, like not being able to sell my own sibling a life insurance policy. Like that's how bad I was at it, right? But at the end of the day, you have to realize like if you're that producer out there that's helping three, five, eight, 10 families a month, like it's and you want to be doing more. Like in your heart, you want to be doing more. You're not just like, Marysa, I want to do more, right? Like to try to appease Marysa, like that's going to make her feel better. It's not, by the way. But really what's important to me was like, okay, how do you go from helping 10, 15, right under 20 families a month to helping 30, 40, 50, being unstoppable on the production side? And for me, that was reoccurring lead orders. Now, some of you might be on here like, oh, what you trying to pitch us leads? Like, first of all, I'm not a lead vendor. I'm not interested in that. But no, the biggest thing that changed my business was knowing like, hey, this lead bill is going to reoccur on said day and it's going to happen no matter what. And it's going to automatically happen. So when it does, the funds better be in your account because you don't want to not have the funds there, right? And what that allowed me to do was stop treating this business like a hobby and start treating it like a business. And the moment you start doing that, you're going to start seeing shifts. Now, in the beginning, I was panicked. I'm like, I just turned on leads that cost $89 a piece because things were different, right? Back in the day, Marysa, we didn't have all the different lead options that we have in Lead Center now. But regardless, guys, if you're committing to spending $500, $1,000 a week on leads, whatever it is, get it automated. And the cool part about it now too is like in Lead Center, you can save 15% by automating your order. Like go automate that order because not only is it going to allow you to have fresh leads each and every week or each and every day, depending on what you need, but it's going to allow you to literally up your business. Like there's one way I can tell you, like no matter what, without a shadow of a doubt, if you're like on here and you're like, I work so hard, I don't take all day to dial. I dial all day and I'm working really hard and I'm only helping 10 families, that it's your lead flow. 100% it's your lead flow. So you have to take more accountability there, get things on reoccurring, get really uncomfortable, get to a point that you're like, if I don't, if I spend $2,000 a week on leads, like I'm going to be really uncomfortable. Good. You should be. And then after you do that, congratulate yourself and give yourself a pat on the back for working those leads that whole week and for, 5 timesing that, 10 times that, whatever it looks like for you, but you are going to see a much greater ROI. And you're also going to see a lot higher of an intensity level within yourself to just get it done. So that's what I would share in terms of upping your actual business.
Just to piggyback what Marisa said, for people who haven't spent 5,000 on leads, 10,000, 15,000, in anything you purchase, before if you haven't cut that $5,000 check, you're not gonna know what's gonna feel like to cut that $10,000 check. If you haven't cut a $10,000 check, you're not gonna know what's gonna feel like to cut a $20,000 check. It has to start somewhere. So if your lead bill is going to be that $500 to $1,000 spend that thousand. Once you do, just like Marisa said, you're going to feel uncomfortable, but then you're going to feel comfortable doing it. Then you can spend 2,000, then 4,000, then 10. And you can continue to climb up that ladder, especially regarding leads, guys, because without leads, just like we just touched on, you have no business. It's like going to a gas station with no gas. It's going to a convenience store and have no inventory whatsoever. Are you going to go there again? No, you're not. Are they going to have good employees? Probably not. So think of it the same way. And just what Marisa said, it's really important to truly treat this business like a business, even being a top producer, because it's really easy. To start selling 10, 20,000 and kind of lose sight of the long-term goal because you're so caught up in that short-term gratification. The one thing I was so thankful for having Marisa as my mentor and being my girlfriend is because I was lucky enough that she would always remind me, hey, I know you're doing great right now. She never took that away from me, but she always reminded me that there's that next level, right? There's that next step to get to. So I want everyone on this call, no matter where you are, it's the worst you're going to be today. If you truly want to get better, right now is the worst you're going to be. That's 5,000, 10,000, 3,000, 12,000, even 30,000, even surge, right? 80,000 a week. Man, you're going to keep getting better, guys. And seriously, you all will continue to grow. And what you have to do is believe in yourself, truly have high self-efficacy. No one can tell you otherwise. Don't let anyone tell you how much you're worth or what you can do in this world. And I mean that. Anyone can do this business. Does everybody do it? No. Can anybody do it? In my personal opinion, hypothetically, yes, they can. However, guys, you need to understand it's going to take the work and you have to have that self-belief and faith. Because if you don't believe it from the jump, if you're not going to give yourself, the benefit of the doubt to go all in, how can you truly tell yourself this business isn't for you, or that you can't issue 50 families in a month? I apologize. How can you truly? Because if you've actually given it your all, you're going to keep eclipsing those new levels. You're going to get to new heights, and eventually you're going to get to a place where it's no longer about producing. It's about, like Marissa and Marisa are saying, it's about actually having a tangible business that you're able to actually look at and say, I'm a business owner. Everybody on this call, you are all independent business owners. We literally are vested from day one. You all can bring on downline agents. We are able to actually, go to integrity and have a merging partnership with them. Think about that, guys. There's no company in this earth in the USA that I know of today that you can go make tons of money while you're selling, right? Bring in tons of friends and family, random people, love what you're doing with who you're doing it with, make a lot more money, help families, change their lives. At the end of the day, get an extra bonus on top and be acquired. Think about, guys, literally every person you know in your life today who's struggling. Think of right now people who cannot pay the bills. Think of people right now in your life that you know they want to go buy their girlfriend a nice purse or a nice shoe, or a nice bracelet or watch. That they right now want to go to buy them all a nice house. Why don't you actually help them get there? Expose the opportunity. Be yourself. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be ashamed. Go out there and spread the opportunity, because, guys, it's the only place you can truly have, in my mind, have the true freedom schedule wise and uncapped potential of income. Now, the only way to get there, guys, is truly, again, believing in yourself, believing in the opportunity, exposing the opportunities, like Desiree said, and truly putting in the work, income producing activities. Make your car a rolling university, whether you're face to face or on the phones all day. Literally, your iPods or your phone should constantly be playing YouTubes, the builders calls. Go back and watch all the teachables. These calls are out there not only for new agents, they're to remind us as managers as well sometimes that, hey, you have to get back on track. You got to do what you said you're going to do. Go back to the basics, like Marisa said. So you guys just really want to focus on, like I said, building this business, treating it like a true business, and believing in yourself. And I mean that. There's a lot of agents who join and have a lot of potential, but they just don't believe in themselves. And I want everyone on this call, if you could take one thing from me, take my belief in myself. I mean it. Take it from me and just say, hey, you know what? Rami said I can do it. I want to go up in Hall of Fame next year. My next month's my biggest month yet. I want everybody to please go out there and do it, because you owe it to yourselves, you owe it to your family, and you guys can do that. All right. I really want you guys to do that.
That's huge. I love that. If Rami said it, it's legit. That I know, because he's doing like 100 grand a month. Okay, real quick, guys, last question, then I'll let you get off here. So you guys are selling at a high level, building a big business. A lot of people on this team are like, okay, I'm going to sell 30 grand a month. Let's go. Let's go. I want to start recruiting, but and sometimes we get so far into the weeds that it's like, what's the first step? Like, if you guys were both like, hey, this is how I'm going to start recruiting today, what platform would you be using? And then, like, what would be like a message that you're going to send, or what would you be doing to just start if you were starting from scratch today on the recruiting system?
What I would do is I would go on Instagram, and the way Dom Rogers said it to me one day, he was like, think about it like an avatar, right? Like, who do you want to attract into your business? Because at the end of the day, we are assuming like we want to be in this business together. We should view it like a partnership. We have the same opportunity, right? So really looking at people who look like me, maybe sound like me, but essentially more so they're driven, they're motivated, and they're doing something, or they see a higher purpose. Like, they actually care about people. They're maybe in a healthcare field in some facet. Maybe they're doing door-to-door sales. Maybe they've never heard of the insurance industry at all. Those are the people that I'm going to start adding onto my Instagram so that they can start looking at my content. And so I can start DMing them and building a relationship with them. That would be my first step to building a business. But to take a quick step back, Marissa, with that being said, writing 30 grand a month, guys, now, is it a prerequisite to build a business? No. But is it going to help your business grow that much faster? Yes. So when you're first getting into this thing, it's like, who can I bring in with me? Don't worry about how much you're producing. You're just getting started too. But once you're issuing that 30, 40, etc., so on and so forth, it's like you're on an up and up, and you want that income and that profitability to be able to reinvest it back into your business. So that's what I would do, though, is find your avatar, reach out to your avatar, start friending them, and have them looking at your content. That's the first step I take.
And touch on that as well, guys. Yeah, investing in the business is definitely key as well. Like truly, like you really have to take it to invest. What I would do as well is Instagram, definitely, but even LinkedIn, guys. Build your LinkedIn presence. Get a professional portrait out there. Go spend some money on some pictures. It's okay. It doesn't matter. And then make yourself look professional on LinkedIn. I'm serious, and make yourself look pretty good. And that way, just continue to cold market, DM whoever you look up to in the industry, people you know of. Now, I didn't come from the industry, so I don't know people. I can't start naming names at you, but you guys do, right? So go out there, hit those people up, go follow them, find them, and generate that audience that you want to attract, just like Marysa said. And I'm big on Facebook, guys, and so Instagram regarding family, because as you guys can tell, I truly believe in this business because I would not have hit Hall of Fame if I didn't have just blind faith in Marysa. Like I know Marysa would never lead me astray. Like I knew that from day one. And of course I know her for a while. So because I had that blind faith, I was able to follow the instructions, plug into the system, and just go all in. Think about your family and friends right now who have that blind faith in you, who can literally do the same steps that I did, and you guys can follow the same path. And then all of a sudden, their lives are changed. But if you don't expose them to the opportunity, if you don't go and reach out, you never know what can happen. So I definitely would recommend, guys, like I said, talking to your family and friends on Facebook and social media, building your presence, but definitely having a personal presence on LinkedIn. All right. So definitely go out there, like I said, build that presence and then start recruiting. And you'd be surprised how many people put you guys back up, especially when they find out, oh, you're at a what, XYZ comp? I'm at 30% comp. And it's crazy. Like these conversations you'll have with these individuals, even like I said, I was not in the business before, but hearing these kind of stories, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, why would you even put yourself through this? They just don't know what they don't know, right? Ignorance is bliss. Keep that in mind, guys. So like I said, just get out there, build your presence, and then just start to, attract the right people.
That's huge. I love that. You guys are beasts. You guys are phenomenal. I'm excited. I love being around you guys. You guys are inspiring me every single day. So thank you guys so much. I will let you get back. I know they're like, well, we have like client appointments like back to back to back. So I know you guys got to get back to selling. So thank you guys so much. I'm happy to be in business with you guys. I mean, the team loved it. We got a lot of great notes. So we'll get back on the phones, but thank you guys so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for
Marysa.
having us on. We really appreciate it. We don't take it lightly. And thank you all for hopping on and taking those notes. Appreciate you guys. Make it a great week.
Thank you.